Hello.
Going. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. Just finished up dinner. Finished training for the day. Yeah, just kind of chilling out for the evening now. How are you going?
I'm good. Just got back from practice and just finished dinner myself.
Oh, sweet. Whereabouts are you from?
I'm from Georgia.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, nice. Oh, it's not too far away from Baltimore. I'm
Yeah.
obviously not from Baltimore, but live
Mhm.
here now. So yeah, nice. That's good. Have you got a few races coming up then, or what's coming up
So
on your schedule?
I just finished middle school season last week, and I've raced one high school race, and I have one more high school race, and then on the track season.
Nice, nice. Do you prefer track or cross country?
I prefer like 5K. Like in middle school, we raced 2 mile, but
Yeah,
5K is probably my favorite event, so probably cross country.
yeah, nice. The longest stuff. That's cool.
Hmm.
Yeah, no, I was always more of a kind of 800 guy when I was
Yeah.
kind of coming up through school. I was in Australia, and I mean, I ran a few like road 5Ks and stuff, but yeah, definitely preferred the track stuff when I was young, and I still feel that way, but I'm probably slightly better at the slightly longer stuff now. But yeah, I don't know about cross country. Do it when I have to, but not the biggest fan in the world. But it's good fun and good if you've got a good team around you. It makes it very
Yeah.
enjoyable. Yeah, yeah, very
Okay,
nice.
so if you don't have anything else to like talk about before we get started, I'll ask you a couple questions if that's fine with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm good to go. Sounds
Okay,
like a plan.
so I'll start off from the beginning, I guess. Like, when and why did you start running?
Um, yeah, so I guess I kind of got into running in Australia. I moved to Australia from England when I was 7,
Hmm.
just mostly for my dad's work. We moved as a family, so me, my parents, and my brother. And it was obviously a completely new life. Like everything was completely different. And when I was 10, actually when I was 8, I won my school cross country, and at that time, no one's really training. I didn't even really know that I was that good at running. Because I guess when you're 8 years old, you don't really know much about sport in general. But from when I was 10, I started to improve a little bit. And in Australia, they've got a really good like school system. So if
Hmm.
you're good at your school, you go on to like districts. And you can run for your school at the next level. And then if you're good there, you go on to regionals and states and nationals. And when I was 11, I made nationals for the 800. And I guess kind of from then I've being somewhat involved in running. I still wasn't really training very seriously. I would, do maybe a session a week, but I didn't really know what I was doing, and I wasn't doing any easy running or any proper training of any sort until I was 16. But yeah, I would say I got into it kind of
Hmm.
at a pretty young age, thanks to mostly the Australian school system. Um, and quite a few Australians get involved in something called Little Athletics, which is where every Saturday you go down to like your local club and you get involved and you do basically every event, from shot put to race walking to the 1500. So you kind of get a taste of all of it. Um, and that was kind of when I was a similar age, kind of 10, 11, 12. So that, I dipped my toes in the water, I guess, with it at a young age. And then when I was 16, I got my first proper coach, and started taking it quite a lot more seriously. So yeah, that's kind of how I got involved. And then from 16 onwards, I guess, improved a bit more and ended up coming over to America to run at college. And then, yeah, ended up doing all right in college and was lucky enough to sign a contract with UnderArmor last year. So yeah, it's been a good journey, and hopefully there's still a lot left for me in my running journey. Yeah.
Okay, so when you were 16, I don't really know if it's the same in Australia as it is in the US. Like, is there like high school cross country or anything like that there? And were you part of the team then?
Yeah, so there is
Hmm.
technically, but you're not really part of a school team. Like some schools will have um cross country teams, and some schools will have like training and stuff. My school didn't really at all. I was the best cross country runner in my school from when I was like 14 up in the whole school. Like not many people were really involved in running, so I trained outside of school. That's kind of more common in Australia. I know in America you
Yeah.
kind of have to train with your high school, and you've got really good teams around you, and a lot of people are involved in running. It's kind of different in Australia. Some people are pretty into running, and there are quite a few good Australian runners kind of from, junior school into the high
Hmm.
school ranks. But if you want to be training, you kind of have to find a coach outside of your high school. And so that's what I did. And when I was 16, I joined this group called the On Track Running Squad, with coach Ben Norton. And I would train with them 3 times a week. And then I was kind of just doing a bit of my own easy running. Um, so that kind of got me properly involved in it. And you do technically run for your high school, but it's not structured in the same way as it is in the US. If you are good, generally you go on to represent your school as an individual. You very rarely have high school teams going to
Yeah.
meets together. Um, there are some schools and some groups of schools that have their own kind of competitions, but it's definitely structured very differently to how it is in the US. Yeah.
Okay. So when after like finishing high school, why did you decide to come to the US and join Drake University?
Yeah, yeah. So when I was in high school, a lot of people who I'd kind of heard of had gone over to college in America, and it seemed like something that would be pretty sick to do, like something I always kind of thought I would quite like to do in the future. But when I was finishing high school, I probably hadn't run quite fast enough to um, get an offer that really excited me to go over and actually make it happen. So I ended up starting university in Australia. I did 2 years of psychology and really
Hmm.
didn't like it. And then at the start of 2019, I started running a little bit quicker, and got, a little bit of interest from coaches, in the NCAA. And, yeah, in the end, Jay, my coach from Drake, he ended up messaging me on Instagram actually, and he was saying, um, that, Drake was building up a decent program. And at the time, the head coach was Mark Carroll, who's a
Hmm.
double Irish Olympian, 350 mile, 7:30 for the 3K. Um, so I had a few phone calls with Jay and with Mark Carroll, and, yeah, kind of pretty quickly I decided that Drake sounded like the right place for me. And, the degree looked like, something that would be reasonable for what I wanted to do. And the offer was really good, and I was very happy with it. And yeah, ended up just kind of committing to Drake. I did speak to a few other places, but with the program that Drake was kind of planning on building, and they hadn't had a whole load of big names go through there in the past, but I kind of trusted in Jay and Mark Carroll, and it worked out well. And I mean, over the last couple of years, I feel like Drake's really kind of got themselves on the map. Um, yeah, and now it's kind of seeing, obviously still not as one of the best in the NCAA, but it's really climbing that ladder of going
Hmm.
from no one really knowing a whole lot about Drake to it's slowly making its way up. And I think a lot more people will be noticing Drake in years to come, which is good. Yeah.
Okay. So after Drake, you ended up signing with Under Armour. What was the reason behind like Under Armour and maybe not like any other brand?
Yeah, so my final year in the NCAA
Hmm.
was kind of a bit of a shocker, to be honest.
Yeah.
After coming fourth in 2021 indoor in the mile, I kind of thought I'd go on to 2022, and
Hmm.
I hoped to, race pretty well. And I ended up getting COVID the week before indoor nationals in 2022. after having run pretty well throughout the kind of bulk of the indoor season, I ran 3:56 twice and 3:57 for the mile. And then I ran 4:01 in my heat at nationals to come second last and didn't make the final. But then outdoor came around and I had my appendix out as it was kind of getting towards the point at the end of the season. So it was a bit of a disappointing end to my NCAA career. But from January, I had been speaking to Corey Leslie, who's now my coach. And he, in a similar way to what Jay was kind of telling me about Drake, Corey was kind of talking about this Under Armour team that was being, I guess, developed, and it had technically started up with the first guys who joined the team, with Casey Comer, John Renowicki, Willie Fink, Jackson Lewis at the time. So he was talking to me from January and kind of saying that this group was being built up based at Under Armour World Headquarters, and it was really good because he said from the start he'd kind of seen enough of what I'd done to basically warrant me being on the team. And that was very lucky because I feel like my final year in the NCAA, if Corey wasn't there, I probably wouldn't have had a whole load of options. I did speak to a few different brands and a few different teams, but with kind of the team Corey was developing and being based at Under Armour World Headquarters, it kind of sounded like the perfect fit. Being based in Baltimore, having Under Armour World Headquarters here, a great team, like-minded guys who are kind of running everything from the 1500 up to the 10K. It seemed like the perfect fit. And so, basically as soon as I was done with Drake, I signed with Under Armour. I was pretty set on it, honestly, from pretty early on. So, it all worked out pretty smoothly, and I'm, very happy I made that decision. And, I feel very lucky because I feel lucky that I ended up just kind of biting the bullet and going to Drake. And then I feel very lucky that this Under Armour, kind of option was there for me. And Corey was, willing to have me on the team. And so, it all worked out pretty well. Yep.
Okay, so this question's like a little bit different than like running, I guess. But so you've lived around like the entire world pretty much, like Europe, Australia, and the US. Out of which of the three, which has been your favorite to like train in and just generally live in?
Yeah. Not many people know this, but I actually lived in Hong Kong for a year and a half as well.
Oh,
So
really?
yeah, lived in 4 different continents. I don't actually remember that though, because I was like 0. It was from when I was 6 weeks old until I was a year and a half old, but I'll still claim it. But they're all very different. I obviously won't include Hong Kong in the list, but they're all good for their individual reasons. For what I'm doing right now, and for being on this team with Under Armour, I feel like being based in Baltimore is kind of the perfect place because we have everything we need here. We've got our team, we've got our coach Corey, we've got the Under Armour kind of support system and support staff that, it's just a really good setup, and it's good to have all the facilities we need. We have gym, massage, recovery, saunas, the track, trails, a little bit of a drive. But that is all perfect. Australia, I did love growing up there, and I do miss Australia definitely. And England, like pretty much all my family's there. So I would say for living, honestly, probably Australia. I definitely could see myself moving back there in the future. For running, I would say America. Baltimore is good, but we end up kind of traveling around a lot of the time. And so, we're going to Flagstaff in a couple of weeks for an altitude camp, and it's like, so we have everything we need in Baltimore, but then a lot of the year we're kind of traveling around. So we see a lot of different parts of the world. But America is really good for the running side of things. And then, for outside of running, I would kind of say family in England. So I love being in England, and then Australia for the lifestyle, the weather, being near this ocean. a lot of my friends are there from growing up and stuff. So it's kind of a hard question to answer because
Yeah.
I love England, Australia, and America, all for their own reasons. And for what I'm doing right now, America is the place I have to be, and I'm loving that. So it's kind of impossible to actually pick one if I had to, but
Hmm.
yeah, hopefully that somewhat answers the question.
Okay. So now this is another like off-running topic, I guess. What are three random facts about you?
Three random facts. Oof.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. That's a good one. All right, I've got one good one that
Hmm.
again not many people know. I can ride a unicycle. I haven't for
Really?
quite a long time, but
Uh-huh.
yeah, I can ride a unicycle. Um, what's another one? Hmm. I guess I've never broken a bone. That's an interesting fact. I feel like
Yeah.
some people have about themselves. Um, and I don't know. There's got to be something else. Hmm. I'm struggling on the spot here. Yeah, I really don't know. Wow. I mean, uh, going back to the countries thing, like
Yeah.
my brother has three passports, so I have
Hmm.
two, but I could get my third. So I guess that's another random fact.
Yeah.
Pretty kind of not very interesting one, but yeah, I'll go with that.
Okay. So, in your opinion, who's the most underrated like runner currently? Or like just like generally? It doesn't have to be too current. It could be like a couple years in the past or something like that.
Underrated runner. Hmm. Um, are you talking like in the pro scene,
Yeah,
like
in
college,
the
like
pro scene and NCAA.
okay, yeah. Um, hmm. This is another tough one, honestly. I haven't thought a whole lot about it, but because I don't want to say anyone from like who I'm gonna be racing, to be honest.
Yeah.
Who do you have one? Do you have a
Um,
favorite underrated
I
runner?
have two kind of. So number
Yeah,
one is Sam Prakel, I think is how you say his last name.
yeah,
He's like he's like I feel like he's just very consistently good. And the
yep.
other one that comes to mind, which reminded me when you're talking about how you lived in Australia, is Stewie McSwain. I feel like
Hmm.
for like how consistently good he is and like how well he performs at the world stage, I feel like he doesn't get enough recognition.
Yeah, yeah, I can agree. I feel like maybe you get a slightly different perspective on it because I feel like
Hmm.
having grown up in Australia, like everyone knows Stewie, and obviously he's kind of,
Yeah.
he was in the Olympic final, he was in the World
Hmm.
Champs final last year, he was at World Champs this year. It's like he's run incredibly fast, like over everything from the 1500 up to the 10K.
Yeah.
He was the Australian record holder in the 10K as well. Um, but yeah, no, I think they're two good choices. I Yeah, Prequel, it seems like, is always making major championships or not making major championships, but being in, big US finals. And it
Yeah.
always seems like doesn't quite go his way right at the end. But,
Hmm.
no, those are two good choices. Um, honestly, I'm really struggling because I feel like everyone I think of is like pretty well known,
Yeah.
and it's hard to actually say that they're underrated. So, um, and then people I'm going to be racing against, it's like I don't want to call them
Mhm.
underrated and then be racing against them. So, um, yeah, I think your two are pretty good options. Though it kind of just all depends on where you're coming from and
Yeah.
what you see. I think, yeah.
Okay, so this is a very important question I'm going to ask you. Who created the Fog Dog theme song?
That's a good one. That I have a proper answer to. His name is Jack Hunter from
Mm-hmm.
Australia. He's from Adelaide, part of a group called the Adelaide Harriers. Um, and his like music channel is called AH Elite. So I guess it kind of stands for Adelaide Harriers Elite. Um, so yeah, that's him. He's got quite a few songs, like he kind of raps
Mm-hmm.
about running and stuff. He's actually just had a baby quite recently, so he doesn't. I don't think he's made too much music recently, but yeah, he's got quite a few songs out, and most of them kind of relate to running. Yeah, so it was him. 2020, I kind of messaged him and asked like if he
Mm-hmm.
thought he'd be able to come up with something. And he sent me two kind of little previews. And I went with the second one, thought that's it. That's perfect. And then he made a full song out of it actually, and it's on Spotify now. So yeah, that's him, the man.
That's pretty cool. Okay. So, in your opinion, who is the greatest like distance runner to ever live? Another kind of like controversial
Yeah.
question, I guess, because there's so many good options.
Yeah. I, yeah, honestly, I think I, I guess it depends on the distance because, you could
Mm-hmm.
go distance from 1500 to 5K, or you could look at the marathon and say, um, well, I guess Kelvin Kiptum now, a lot of
Yeah.
people would be saying, but honestly, I'm leaning towards Jakob. And I know that's probably quite an obvious answer, but I feel like he's still so young,
Yeah.
relatively. And he's run just so fast, having run 327, 343, 723, but 754 for the two
Mm-hmm.
mile. 12, I think he's run 12:48 for the 5K, but like,
Yeah.
I could see him going close to the 5K world record.
Mm-hmm.
Um, in the future, if he steps up to the 10K, I wouldn't be surprised to see him running pretty close to that world record. So, and then who knows if he goes up to the marathon one day, I,
Yeah.
I dread to think what he'll run. Um, in terms of like global championships and stuff, maybe there's an argument to say, I don't know, someone like Kipchoge or Bekele
Yeah.
or El Garouge might have an edge on him, but
Mm-hmm.
I just think because he's so young, and has run so fast and performed pretty well overall. I know the 1500 world champs gold is still the monkey that's on his back, but yeah, Olympic gold medalist and two world 5K titles. I think at such a young age, yeah, with what he might do in the future, I think he very well could be
Mm-hmm.
the best of all time. What do you think? Who would you say?
I lean more towards Jakob and Kenenisa, Bekele, because
Mm,
I want to say Elliot because he's just like he was so dominant during the marathon, but like now that the
yeah,
record's broken and he wasn't like too
yeah.
dominant during like the 5K and 10K, I feel like he just like he's like the goat of marathon in my opinion still, but I just don't think you could put him for distance running completely. So I probably have to
Mhm.
agree with you with like Jakob.
Yeah, I just think the range he's got already, and
Hmm.
yeah, going into the future, he'd probably already right now run a pretty solid marathon. So
Yeah.
we'll see in the future, if he ever does run one. But yeah, I think it's a fair argument.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. So at the end of your like running career, I guess, what do you want to have like accomplished and like what distance do you think you'll move up in distance at all or like I guess like just like in
Ye-
general, what do you think you'll finish your like career at?
Yeah. In terms of like times, I haven't really
Hmm.
thought a whole lot about it. I guess I haven't thought extremely hard about it, but I would love to get down to, 330 or faster over
Hmm.
1500. Um, you know, in in the future, I definitely see myself moving up. I ran 744 last year for the 3K and think that kind of could
Yeah.
translate pretty well to a good 5K. Um, so kind of in the low 13s. Maybe if I focus on the 5K in the future, I would love to, have a crack at breaking 13 minutes. Right now, that's still a long way off, but yeah, and then who knows? Who knows if I'll move up to the 10K and the marathon in the future? But when I'm done, I guess I definitely want to have made a few teams. And depending on kind of how I'm going at that point in time, if I'm making teams, I want to be competitive and I want to be competitive in every race I'm in. We'll see how far that takes me. If I end up making a World Champs final, if I end up making an Olympics 1500, 5K final, whatever it ends up being. I just want to, when I'm done with running, look back and think that I've given it my all and run fast, run some times that I'm pretty happy with, and being competitive all the way through, won some big races, made some, big teams. I want to make global championship finals. I'd love to be an Olympian. Of course, I think everyone does. It's kind of hard to say what will define, like, when I'm done with running, what I think of as being like, it was a successful career and it wasn't a successful career. Cause I think, unless you're setting every world record and winning every race, every runner will kind of look back and think there were certain things they could have done better. And certain races they could have done better. And so every runner is always going to be wanting a little bit more. So it's hard to say exactly, but I want to run fast, make some teams, and yeah, just look back and know that I've given it my all, and I couldn't have done anything more during my career to kind of maybe have done even better. Yeah.
Okay, so I just thought of this while you were like talking when I asked you like, do you plan on moving up? So this may be very wrong, but are you like currently undefeated in 10K since you've only ran like one or two races of it?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, but I've only run one.
That's pretty. You can always say that then.
Yeah, maybe I'll just never run it again, and then I'll never have lost the 10K. Then maybe I'd be the 10K GOAT.
Yeah.
So yeah. But no, it was conference 10K 2021. I actually tripled that year. I did the 1500, 5K, 10K triple. Ran 29:26 for the win. And I mean, that felt pretty good. And I had my 1500 heat like an hour before it. So who knows in the future? That's 2 years ago now. I feel like, another couple years down the line, I might run a decent 10K. But for the time being, I'm a miler, and maybe next year I'll run a 5K. I would quite like to, but I think focusing on the 10K, that's some way down the track. At least I hope. Something big would have to change for the 10K to become the focus soon. Yeah.
So I don't have any more questions for you, but if you have any questions for me, I could answer them.
Yeah, absolutely. So what's your kind of goal for this track season? Or actually, you said at the start cross country is kind of, the 5K. Do you run the 5K?
So
on the track?
I have one more high school meet. I'm a middle schooler, but I race up with JV sometimes, like during the end of the season. And I have one more 5K, and I want to try breaking 17:15. That would be my goal.
Nice.
And then
how old?
I'm 14.
14 and trying to break 17:15.
Yes.
That's moving. That's good. Yeah, keep it going. But
the problem with that is that my 2-mile time is the same pace as my 5K time because I just have no speed.
That's all right.
On Saturday when I raced my last 5K, I tied my 2-mile PR from cross country season and did another mile afterwards. So just need to cut speed down for track and then hopefully break 10:25 in 2-mile and maybe try getting under 5:05 for the mile.
Nice. That would be good. That would be really solid. And I mean, with the speed stuff, you just kind of keep working on it and it will come. I feel like I was definitely, when I was around your age, I was more 800 focus, but
Hmm.
I kind of a lot of my life have kind of had a similar problem, and I feel like my finishing speed has definitely developed. I can close races pretty well now. I guess it's all relative. You know, you look at the
Yeah.
best in the world and I could say I'm awful at closing, but you know, compared to what I used to be, I'm much, much
Hmm.
better. So it's just one of those things you kind of got to keep working at. And, yeah, it's not necessarily a bad thing though that you can kind of hold your 2 mile pace for 3 miles. It kind of shows that
Yeah.
who knows in the future you'll probably find that you can just go at a pace forever. So
Hmm.
yeah, what about so track season? Oh right, you kind of said 10:25 and sub 5:05 then.
Yeah.
Would that get you to, you know, is it state or what? How
So,
does it work?
so for me, like, there's a private school state championship that I will go to,
Yeah.
and right now Georgia's crazy competitive for like middle school. Like the fastest kid will probably be going like 4:30 in the mile and 9:25 in the 2 mile, and then like he just ran a 5K not too long back and went 16:10 as an eighth grader. So
How old is that? Like 13 or something?
13 or 14.
16:10. That's
So he's
ridiculous. Yeah.
crazy fast. But
Yeah.
I'll just try staying up there, and then I probably won't go into any like national meets just because I like I do like triathlon, and I usually just like
Oh,
by
nice.
track season I'm kind of like just need a little bit of a break. So
Oh,
I
yeah, definitely.
yeah.
You
So
can't
I
just
usually
keep going
don't.
forever and ever. Yeah.
Mm,
You need to have a break sometimes. But as well, like with that guy running 16:10, don't let
yeah.
that, you know, let that kind of inspire you. Don't let
Uh
that
huh.
put you off because if I think back to when I was, you know, 10, 11, 12, 13, all the way through to when I was like 17, 18, honestly, like so many kids were so much better than me. Like
Mm-hmm.
it seemed like, you know, they were just out of my league completely, just on a different planet. Um, and lots of them don't even run anymore. So you just kind of got to keep plugging away, keep training, keep enjoying it. And you know, you'll keep developing and success will kind of come. It comes at different rates for different people. Some people,
Hmm.
you know, are really good when they're young and they see all this success and maybe they lose their love for the sport. So you got to kind of keep enjoying it and stay in it for the long run. And yeah, you'll be happy in the long run. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
No, of course. Yeah. It's been good to chat.
Yeah. Thank you for letting me interview you. It was lots of fun.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I've enjoyed it.
Mhm.
Good luck with your season and hopefully we can
Thank
maybe
you.
get a run in one day or something.
Yeah. Okay.
Sweet.
Well, have a good rest of your night.
Thank you. You too. See ya.
Okay. See ya.